Welcome to this episode of Consider It Blacklit. I am Kim, your host, and for those of you tuning in for the first time, Consider It Blacklit highlights films, television programs, and stage plays that feature African Americans both up front and behind the scenes. We also discuss social issues as it relates to some of these programs and how they may or may not impact our communities. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope you continue to tune in each week. Today, it is my pleasure to highlight the 1973 classic, Coffy, starring Pam Grier. Coffy is a story of a dedicated nurse who gets fed up with the narcotics in her community, especially after her sister overdoses on heroin. Coffy decides to take justice in her own hands. Let's take a look at the trailer.
My name's Coffy. I know what you want to, and you're gonna get it. This is the end of your rotten life, you dope pusher. Are you sure you're not just a little black?
And let me see you crawl over here, you black trash.
You want me to crawl?
What are you doing? Put that down.
You want to spit on me and make me crawl?
Just tell me. Did this man send you to kill me?
No, he didn't know nothing.
Take her out and kill her.
I think of all the fun I could have had with a good-looking stud like you.
You really mean that?
All your friends are dead. Well, I killed them all.
Today, it is my pleasure to have a writer and journalist and an overall bison from Howard University from back in the day, Jenyne Raines. HU.
You know.
So, Jenyne, before we start talking about Coffy, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself? I mean, you've been here before, but let's just refresh their memory.
Okay, thank you, Kim. I come here as an author. You know, I'm the author of the book, the Doubleday book, Beautylicious, The Black Girl's Guide to the Fabulous Life. And part of, a big part of the book is focusing on who I call the fabulous dolls. The late great Diane Carroll, Pam Grier, Diana Ross, etc. So the book, again, looks to their lives and some of their fabulousness to see what us regular girls can learn from them. As a writer, I also do different lifestyle pieces for different magazines, and I'm working on various projects at the moment, working on my fourth book, if you can believe it.
Wow, it's been 4 books already?
Well, it's been, because remember I did a lot of beauty books for Essence.
Yeah, you did, you did. That's amazing. I can't wait for the next one.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, so back to Pam Grier and Coffy. So the movie starts out with Pam Grier's character, Coffy, blowing the head off of a drug dealer. Tell me what you think about a nurse who's supposed to save lives, killing somebody, basically.
I hate to say, was it really wrong? He's a dealer. I know that wasn't right, but that also that opening just shows you where we're going to go with the movie in terms of what was going on in the community, that she felt like this was something that a nurse feels like this is something that she has to do.
Right, right. And back in the 70s, I'm not saying that I was alive then, but
but you were, Blanche, you were.
The community really rallied around these Coffy, Pam Grier movies. Why do you think it resonated so well with the Black community back then?
The movie's like catharsis for people, in a sense, for our community. I mean, because the truth is, back then, you had the scourge of no, not so much cocaine, but a heroin. There was heroin, a lot of heroin in the black community. Again, we're dealing with the racism, and so these are revenge fantasies, and people really, enjoyed seeing them, and to see it executed by a beautiful, intelligent black woman made it even better.
Because most of these movies of the time, the lead characters were men.
Exactly. So you say Shaft is probably the movie to kick the door wide open for the black exploitation movement. But Pam Grier was the first woman to head up her own movie. And when they saw how well as you pointed out, the audiences took to her, she became the queen of black exploitation.
Right, right. And a lot of the movies of the day focused on, fighting against people who brought heroin into the community. I know that during the 1970s, there was an influx of heroin because many Vietnam vets were exposed to it when they were overseas. So when it comes back to this country, anything that's negative, it hits the poor inner city communities worse. So I think that, people were desperate. So when they saw movies like this, it was good to see somebody who was really kind of standing up to these drug dealers and even going a step further, the people who were supplying the drugs.
I was going to say that also the supplier was a big part of the story because that's the man. And the man always was just like the code word for, the white man. And the bad influences that was pumped into the community from the man. Right. So, yes, people enjoyed those movies. It was kind of, like I said, it was a revenge fantasy. And, you got to see good, splashy, loud fashions. People were kicking butt. People were looking beautiful. People were getting killed. You got everything in a good 90 minutes.
Right. It was a lot of action and excitement going on.
Excitement, romance, sex, you were getting it all.
There's a lot of criticism about blaxploitation movies, but I happen to like them. I like Blackula.
No, I like Blackula too, and William Marshall, because again, they turned the horror genre on its head. But of course, who doesn't love Pam Grier? So of course I'm going to say Foxy Brown and Sheba Baby. And wasn't really my favorite, but I know everybody loves the Mac.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Goldie, Max Julian as the Mac.
Yeah, but you know what I want to see, and it's a direct result of Dolomite Is My Name. I want to go back and look at some of the Rudy Ray Moore films.
Okay, you could, and God knows, thanks to a particular station, Bounce, I'm looking at Dolomite every other week. So, but I mean, it's all, when you look at it again, it was all very, I'm going to say for Dolomite, it's all very tongue-in-cheek, it was all very silly, very funny, and when you look at it now. And of course, Eddie Murphy is dealing with this in his movie, My Name is Dolomite. And what it took to put the movie together, what Rudy Ray Moore did, had to do to get this movie out. So that, actually, Dolomite's a good study. And I would be remiss if I didn't say Cleopatra Jones.
Oh, yes.
With Tamara Dobson. Again, beautiful black woman, down for her community, kicking butt, taking names, getting to the bottom of the problem. Another great movie. And just another little known fact, they were always pitting Tamara Dobson and Pam Grier against one another, but they were actually good friends and roommates.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they were roommates.
They were roommates. And Tamara Dobson was getting mad about the whole because I think Ebony wrote a story about, Pam is raunchy, but Tamara's more elegant, so on and so forth, and how they weren't friends. And Tamara Dobson sent a nice letter to Ebony, like, stop that nonsense right now. We are good friends. We stand for the same things, so on and so forth. So also it's good to, it's always good to hear about camaraderie,
That's good. I think they need more of that today because
absolutely.
You hear about these young performers and artists fighting each other, and I'm like, I don't understand. I mean, you both are getting yours. Why can't we just come together?
Right.
Don't feed off what the media tries to play up to make things exciting.
No,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely, because in Pam Grier's book, Foxy, Pam actually says that as roommates, like Tamara helped her with makeup and fashion, And since Pam was more of like the kick behind girl, Pam was helping her with, look, this is how you get on a motorcycle. This is how you ride a motorcycle. This is how you ride a horse. This is how, getting her more, bringing her more up to speed for the action parts of her movie. And Tamara was helping her with more of the glamorous aspects of Pam's movies.
Let's talk about, what our images look like right now.
The movies right now, everyone owes a nod to the Black exploitation movement, and Pam Grier, who has become the forerunner of the intelligent, beautiful, very physical black woman that does what she has to do. So I would say, just in general, most of the movies owe quite a nod to Pam Grier and the Black exploitation movement. I can't just say one or two films.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how much maybe some of today's artists have studied her. They may not talk about it, but I know with Watchmen, Regina King is very physical, and she's a very kick-butt person in there. And I'm wondering if she even studied some of the Coffy movie or Pam Grier movies, because she was very physical too.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I don't see why not. And again, let's say right now, what's the movie Queen and Slim? While not exactly a kick butt in that sense, what you do have is that the outlaw sensibility of, okay, the system isn't working for me. I have to take matters into my own hands. Which is it's just a common theme for us as Black people.
Yeah, it is. It is. I found it interesting that the writer-director of Coffy was a white man, Jack Hill. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, honestly, what did you expect? It's the 70s. They saw that these movies were making money, and actually, Jack Hill had the greatest regard for Pam, and Pam had the greatest regard for Jack. Jack had pulled her in on 2 other movies before that. The prison movies, Black Mama, White Mama, what have you, and when Jack was writing this, he had Pam in mind, and so he let her loose to do what she does best. So I can't be mad. Thanks to Jack, he introduced us. He gave us the queen of cinema.
I know, he did. One thing about the movie, I noticed that Pam, or Coffy, the character Coffy, uses her sexuality to get what she wants. What do you think about that, and how do you think a character like that would go over today?
Okay, a character like that was new, and and to be honest, it wasn't even necessarily new in the 70s. Today, everybody does it at the drop of a hat, just to get the groceries. So it's not really, I have to say it's not really new. But back when Pam was doing it, like I said, she brought a physicality to things. She was not docile. She'd jump up, she'd punch if she had to punch you. If that wasn't the way to go, she's showing a little cleavage or what have you. But she was always focused on what the goal was. That was the thing. She very clearly delineated what was love, what was sex, and what was I got to do what I got to do to get from point A to point B.
Let's talk. It was one particular scene at the end. I think both of you and I liked it when. Because I know Pam was dating the council person, right?
Right.
And she rolled up on him.
Council person.
The no good council person, and she rolled up on him. And what happened? The woman came down and asked for something. Right.
Because we have to get back to the councilman did a good show of acting like he was for the people, and he had them. He had the Black community's best interests in mind, and it turns out he had his own best interests in mind, and he was really with the man. So Pam was very hurt because that was as Coffy, that was quite a betrayal. She thought he was a man of the people, and that's another thing you have to, when you really look at Coffy, you have to look at also all of those elements that she really was. That as Coffy, she was community-minded. She was about her people.
She was.
And she was attracted to the councilman, not the drug dealer, but the councilman because he was intelligent and was allegedly for the people. Now I can't say for the people enough because she didn't want to believe that he was part of the plot with the man, or the mafia, the man, the mafia. She couldn't believe it. So she knew what her eyes was telling her, but her heart was saying, but I still love him. So now she's at the house, and he knows that he's been found out, and he's going to do, he's trying to do his last desperate, but baby, I love you, so on and so forth.
Know.
And
the
then,
line we always fall for.
Right, the line we all, and then,
but I love you.
And she, okay, and she was softening up because we fall for, we always go for that. You put the gun down because she was getting ready to blow him away. You put the gun down and say, oh, Fred. And what happens right at that point, now, I'm sorry, people, the white girl comes out and she says, baby, where do you keep the ice? Really? Where do you keep, okay, so we have to, obviously that was she needed that phrase to let everybody know, hey, I'm in the house and Fred loves me. So, of course, like I said, Pam thought he was about the people. Clearly, he was not about the people in any way, shape, or form. She had to kill him.
He had to go.
He had to go.
So Pam Grier was one icon in this era. Who are some of the other icons? Because I know you and I go back and forth on who we think were like the icons of the era. Who do you think?
Oh, yeah, I mean, well, okay, so you're talking about the 70s. You're talking about like 73 to probably like early 80s. Come on, you had a lot of people. You had, again, the aforementioned Tamara Dobson from Cleopatra Jones had a wonderful run. You're talking about, it's still Diane Carroll's in the background being ever so elegant and beautiful. Then the boss, Diana Ross, comes up later on in the 70s, as Mahogany. And in the Lady Sings the Blues.
And you know who I love. I love Judy Pace.
Oh yeah, and then there was Judy Pace. There was and the underrated but very great Diane Sands. She's like Diana Sands was like the actress's actress. They all loved her. So you had quite a few people. You had a beautiful brown-skinned women during that time period that were really doing great things.
Great things. You always could find something that you admired in their characters.
And that's a credit to the actress. That's not a credit to the director. That's not a credit to the writer. That's a credit to the actress. Taking generally what was usually the one-dimensional, you're the girlfriend, you're the friend or whatever. That's a credit to the actress taking the role to the next level.
Yeah. And Pam Grier did that very well.
Absolutely.
What are some of the other roles that she's played in?
Now, after she did, because we know Coffy, we know Foxy Brown, we know Sheba Baby, Friday Forster when she was a photographer. Then she branched out. Did she really go mainstream? Not, she did a couple of things. She did something with Paul Newman, and I think was it Fort Apache, but she didn't really become Pam Grier for another audience, for another generation, till about, I'd say 97, with Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown, where she was nominated for a Golden Globe Award. And then Jackie Brown's the story of a down-on-a-luck airline stewardess who really just plays the mob, plays the drug dealers against one another and gets the loot. That was a really good movie.
Right. And she also she did that run with the L Word on Showtime.
Yes, then after Jackie Brown, there was the L Word on Showtime. And you see her in, let's say, reruns of she's shown up in the Cosbys, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, CSI. She'll show up as a guest appearance. But right now, if you're looking for the great Pam Grier, you can find her on ABC Channel 7 on Wednesdays, I think at 8 o'clock, on Bless This Mess.
Oh, okay.
Which is basically, she would say, where she's really playing herself, and herself would be a woman that lives out on a farm, runs I think the drugstore or something, and just is dealing with the horses and, country living. It's Bless This Mess is somewhat like an update on Green Acres.
Oh, okay.
So if you like Green Acres, you'll like this.
Yeah, I must admit I haven't checked that out, but I definitely will.
No. Actually, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So let's get back to Pam Grier being the sex symbol of the time. It was like every guy I knew wanted to be with Pam Grier, but I understand she was never married.
No, she was never married. Now she had a few high-profile romances. One in particular she almost married Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, she met him when he was Lou Alcindor. Okay, I think that should pretty much tell you everything. She met him when he was Lou Alcindor, but he was going through the change of becoming Muslim. And and he wanted her to be his wife, But where that went wrong was, he gives her the book of How to Be a Muslim Woman, and that really was just going against everything she believed in terms of her independence and her autonomy. So she wound up not marrying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Another high-profile romance would have been with Freddie Prinze. Okay, those of us not born in the 70s, who actually were there in the 70s, wink, wink, will remember Freddie Prinze from Chico and the Man.
Oh, Chico and the Man.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't he have a son, Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Freddie Prinze Jr.,
okay.
right. But those of us who weren't there but were there in the 70s remember Freddie Prinze, who was really cute. And she used to deal with Freddie Prinze, but that didn't really go anywhere because he had a big drug problem, and Pam was not a druggie, or all the movies or whatever. Pam was that way in real life. She doesn't play with drugs, not at all. So that didn't go anywhere. I don't know if she would feel like this was her love of her life, but it seemed like it was Richard Pryor. Richard's tendencies, to self-destruct became too much. So she had to go.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. She was such a beauty, and there was so many men who wanted to be with her. It just seemed like, she was like a regular girl. Sometimes we just make the wrong choices and it just don't work out.
Sometimes the wrong choices, and what I really do like is actually what it is she was very true to herself. She understood that she was independent, and everybody wanted to get in on some level and take care of her and tell her what to do. And it wasn't even like, wait a minute, I'm in a bigger store, I'm in as big of a store as you are. It wasn't even that. It's just that she's like, I'm intelligent, I can think for myself. I want to be part of a team. I don't need you to tell me what to do. And then the other thing was, she's trying to help people, and she's trying to help people that aren't trying to help themselves.
Yeah.
So, but she knew, unlike a lot of us, she followed her intuition. It's like, you can't marry that person.
Right,
People do
right.
it, but so she didn't.
Right. So now she's living her best life.
She's living her best life. She lives, I believe, out in Colorado, which is why I was saying that the Bless This Mess is really more up her alley. She lives in Colorado amongst her horses and dogs, which is why I love her. And Pam is like the rough and rugged. She likes the outdoor life, with like I said, with the horses and the dogs, and you're hauling logs and hiking and things like that. That's really who she is, and who she's always been. So she was never like the Hollywood doll.
I guess people were looking at her to be that person.
Right. So people come in on the shiny bauble of, the beautiful, sexy Pam Grier, and she's like, that's not really her. That's not her. She's a nice, down-home kind of girl.
Good for her. I think I read somewhere, too, didn't she have some health issues?
She did, and it's funny you should ask about that now, because just yesterday, she had to go on TMZ. Well, she did have cancer. And for some reason, the rumors are out today that, she has stage 4 cancer.
Oh, no.
And she had to go on, the TMZ had to report, no, that's not the case. I don't know where you got that from, that she's fine. But there was a point where she did have stage 4 cancer. I want to say maybe like the late 90s, early 2000s.
But she beat that.
And it's in remission, and she's fine now.
She kicked butt like she kicked butt in the movie. She kicked cancer's butt.
And that's
Good for
exactly
her.
right, because she will say, I'm a fighter.
Twitter and social media, they're always killing somebody off.
I know, and then that's why she had to come back and say, not me, I'm fine, I'm alive, cut it out.
We love Pam Grier. Well, I know we talk a lot about Pam Grier because she's a significant part of Coffy. She's iconic. And with that, who do you think today may be a similar type of icon, maybe 20 years from now? Who do you think people will be looked back and talking about like we are talking about Pam Grier?
It's, I hate to say it, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I see Tessa Thompson doing good work. I think Yahara Shahidi is beautiful, intelligent, but we need to see more. From the dolls that we know, really, I'm trying to think of who's really even done any real action. Of course, there's Taraji P. Henson. Of course, I would say, of course, there's Halle Berry. You know, I think, I don't know why Vivica wasn't given more to do action-wise, because she was actually pretty good in Independence Day, and she was in a Quentin Tarantino movie,
Kill
too.
Bill.
Kill Bill.
She kicked butt
She
in that.
kicked butt. So I'm really actually surprised that they don't give her more kick-butt movies. You know, so I'm going to put my girl Viv in that category. I think Gabrielle Union will get her due in a different kind of way, because Gabrielle Union stands up eloquently and intelligently for the cause.
Yeah. And she's also like pushing behind the scenes, executing, producing a lot of her stuff. So she's really pushing for ownership too. So that's one reason I really like Gabrielle.
No,
so I could see her.
Absolutely. And of course, we couldn't do this conversation without Queen Angela Bassett.
Oh, yes. Now, Angela Bassett, definitely an icon. I was watching What's Love Got to Do with It recently,
For
and
the
I'm
millionth
like,
time, yeah.
why didn't she get an Academy Award for that?
Well, any of her things. Any of her roles. But
Yeah.
no. We have a on the backs of Pam. We do have a nice. We have a lot of women that should, you know, will wear the icon crown, if they're not already.
Right. Well, anyway, everybody, as you can see, Jenyne and I just love Pam Grier.
We do, Pam.
We do. We love Coffy. You know, I love it because she kicks some butt. You know, she is the ultimate image of women's empowerment. We encourage you to see her. You can see Coffy on YouTube for a nominal fee. You used to get the movies for free, but they're like, okay, you got to pay now.
Yeah, you gotta
but
pay.
that's good. I hope some of that is going back to Pam. But definitely check out Coffy, and you'll see what we're talking about. And there was some great love scenes in there too.
Yeah, okay. Now we would be remiss if they always had to write in some kind of, you know, greasy love scene, but that's what the Black exploitation movement was about.
Right? It was greasy, and we were taking notes.
Yeah, we were taking notes. So very true.
But anyway, everyone, please check out Coffy. Please check out Pam Grier. What's her show? Bless This Mess?
Bless This Mess on
Bless This
ABC.
Mess. Let's support her. Let's reach out to her on social media and let her know that we love her.
That we love her.
Yep, definitely. So until next week, consider yourself blacklit. Thank you.
Thank you.